Welcome to the Shift with Intention podcast. I'm Jamie Zagrafis, your host, and today we have Darlyshia Menzie as our guest. And Darlyshia is a Missouri licensed realtor who helps buyers and sellers get moved locally in the St. Louis metro area and around the nation. Her desire through real estate is to help individuals and families create legacy through real estate. She is also a kingdom and marketplace entrepreneur who teaches people how to get excited about their lives by investigating and investing in their personal and spiritual growth. With that in mind, she empowers others to take responsibility for their lives and do what's necessary to live with purpose every single day. Darlyshia's motto is live with intention, serve with passion, and let's welcome Darlyshia to the show. Welcome, dear.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me, Jamie.
Oh, I'm so excited to have you today, Darlyshia.
So
I wanted to share something that I don't know that I told you ever. So Joseph introduced us for Shift, and I can't remember what was going on that day. And we got on our Zoom, and I was like, oh my gosh. So maybe I told you and emailed you, but your light that day, I needed so much. And I just wanted to tell you that. And so then today, after the long holiday, I was like, oh, who do I have today? And I was like, la, 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 la. And I was so excited. Not that, it's Thanksgiving, but it was a lot of energy expended. And I was just thrilled to see that you're the only one I have today. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. So
hugs and hearts.
Yes. So
I'm excited to be here with you today. I know this conversation is going to be amazing.
Yes, I agree. So Darlyshia, can you tell a little bit about yourself so our listeners know who they're learning from today?
Absolutely. So you already read the bio. That's the overarching things, but I'll just tell you guys a little bit about who I am. So I am an Illinois native, even though I live in Missouri now. I've been here since 2015 with my husband. I've been married for almost 9 years now, and I have a dog with my husband. His name is Armor. Look, with my husband. I'm 32 years old. Before getting into real estate, I was really into the personal and professional development sector in the nonprofit area and in education. So I really have a heart to see people come into their own, to come into their fullness, to pursue their passion, to really become the best versions of themselves. So even when I think about this book, it really aligns with who I am and what I desire for my life and how I desire to impact other people's lives. So that's just a little tad bit about me. I enjoy serving in my local ministry at Church on the Rock here in St. Peter's, on the worship team and on the prayer partners team, and just really getting involved in different things in the community with different groups and networking groups and things like that, just to connect. I love people. So anything that gets me in front of people and gets me in conversation, getting to learn about people, I'm all for it.
I love it. Well, thank you for sharing that. I remember when we were talking about Shift and you told me a little bit about what you thought you were going to write about. And I was like, wow, forgiveness. And what a different chapter. And it ends the book. And so for all of you who haven't read it, you need to read it. It's beautiful. But before we can get into that or not get into that, but tell us a time in your life that you shifted, but I need the old Darlyshia. I need all the messy stuff, as messy as you want to get. So our listeners somebody that might be in the same space.
Sure thing. Well, one, I want to say there's always some mess. So no matter how front facing we are and how much progress we've made, there's always something to deal with, which I think is an interesting thing about the human experience. There's always something to evolve in, to grow in, to develop. And so one of the areas where I have really struggled before was coming out of high school and going into college. I had this thing where I let people just stick up for me all the time. I was not the confrontational type. I was not the one who liked to face things head on. If people wanted to, jump out ahead of me and deal with it, I was going to let them do it because I didn't want to be a part of that. And I specifically remember a friend that I have, a really close friend of mine. She would always fight my battles and she would always just be the one defending me because I'm a sensitive person as well. I have a lot of things that I wear on my heart. And my daddy said I used to always wear my heart on my sleeve and I needed to develop tougher skin. And at the time I didn't have that yet. And so I just remember, probably because of my daddy, that I had developed this interest in my now husband. And my daddy just did not want me to be dating in college. Like he wanted me to, do the college thing, get a job, kind of live my independent life before I decided to love. And it just did not happen that way. And so it was at that moment in college where not only looking at others fighting my battles, but also just kind of living my life according to other people's terms. Not necessarily a bad thing all the time, but it was other people, other people, other people. And so the shift for me happened where I said, I can't deal with this anymore. I can't live for other people anymore. I've got to deal with whatever the insecurities are that I have, whatever these roadblocks and barriers and questions and the sensitivity, everything is triggering me. I have to deal with this because I'm not going to be able to evolve. I'm not going to be able to mature. I'm not going to be able to be independent like I even desire if this is always the case. And so you talk about old Darlyshia, the messy, the nitty gritty, the in the mud. It was just this sensitivity and this insecurity that just could not be shaken because it was always something that was bothering me. And I'd be lying if I said that that's not something that has still shown up over time. It's just different mechanisms to deal with it now, different coping, different strategies to move through it as opposed to staying in it and not seeing an end. So it's very much a maturation process that I've had to go through with sticking up for myself, being okay with confrontation, being okay with making my own decisions and dealing with the consequences of what those decisions are instead of letting everyone else tell me what to do and letting everyone else defend or, go in my honor.
So that's interesting because you're young. I mean, younger than me, whatever that means. And so out of college, that's very insightful at a young age, I guess is what I'm saying. So have you always been introspective and insightful?
Yes. Everything happens in my head before it ever hits outside, ever.
So what would be an example of, besides your dad, like an example with friends? What would that look like in college that they would stick up for you and you wouldn't?
Oh my goodness.
Like, do you remember one?
Oh gosh, you're taking me back.
Or if you can think of one,
No, this is good. So I've always been a lot different than people in my age group. And what I mean by that is I was labeled like the church girl. I was labeled the goody two shoes. I was labeled the teacher's pet. I was labeled an Oreo, a black on the outside, white on the inside, which was just really silly. I was just kind of like the black sheep. I was like the outcast, if you will. Not that people didn't accept me, so to speak, but I was just so different. I didn't fit in any crowds. And so you talk about friends sticking up for me, people that I did have a relationship with and that I spent time with. Whenever someone would say something against me, this friend in particular would defend my honor. She would be the one kind of going in hard, putting them in their place, letting them know that they need to keep their words to themselves if they don't have anything nice to say, just kind of covering me and protecting me. She was like my guard dog is what I like to call her. So in instances like that where people had labels that they wanted to put on me, or they wanted to talk about me or treat me a certain way because I was different, or I didn't like to do, the drinking. I didn't like to do the partying. I don't curse, different things like that made me different. I would have friends that would do that, sticking up for me instead of me myself.
Okay. So did you like that then?
At the time I did, because I was not a confrontational person. Confrontation was something that just dug even more into the sensitivities that I had. And so to continuously deal with these sensitivities was exhausting, and just having to explain who I am and why I am the way I am all the time was exhausting. And so having someone else to be able to do that for me was definitely a load off until it wasn't. Until it wasn't.
It always is until it's not.
Until it's not. It turned into just always being concerned about what people say, and always waiting for someone to do something or say something or provide or step in. That became too much as well. So then I had to make that decision. Am I going to do it myself, or am I going to continue to live life this way?
So when did you decide, you know what, I'm done with this and I'm going to do this? Like what did that look like?
What was the thing? So I think my decision was manifested, if you will, more so in 2014. I had just graduated probably grad school. So I had gone through my whole college, like dealing with this type of stuff. And it's actually written in my first book. So it's called At the End of Me, where I deal with my self-esteem and identity issues. And I had sat down and I'd done like a 21-day, 23-day fast. And during this fast, I had taken time to journal and to pray and to just ask God and seek in the Bible, you know, who I am and who I want to be. What did God say about me, about my character, about who I am as a woman, a contributor in the society, a builder of the kingdom, whatever it is. Like, how do I look at myself accurately and not just succumb to people's opinions of me? And so during that 21-day fast and journaling session, I really dug deep into who I am and who God says I am. And that allowed me to step more into my boldness, into my identity, into courage, into confrontation. Confrontation is not bad. It's how we handle confrontation. Sometimes it's bad. And so it really gave me the fortitude to be able to deal with my deep-seated issues and to appropriately address people when I feel like something was being said or done against me that I didn't agree with.
So I know that didn't all happen on one day in 2014 because that's a lot. And so tell us how you were then and how you've evolved and, you know, whether that's an experience and how you addressed confrontation or whatnot, because there's a ton of people out there that just avoid confrontation.
Yeah.
I have no problem with it. So many people do.
Yeah.
So how did you do that then? And how have you evolved to master that?
Sure. Master, huh?
I mean, we're always learning, but
there you go. Always learning. How did I do it then? I have a handful. I would say I'm not one. I don't have a lot of friends. I have a lot of people in my corner. I have a lot of family. Whether it's by blood or by relation or by church or what have you. And I have a few trusted friends as well. So knowing who to trust is a big component of that for me. Right. Knowing who to trust and who to confide in when I was dealing with something, and knowing that person or those people would give me wise counsel, that they would walk with me through it, they wouldn't judge, and that they would help me to process through what it was that I was feeling and what I needed to do about it. My church family at that time, very instrumental. I have mentors as well. I think having a mentor is so important. Not even just one, having a mentor for each different area of life that you want to grow and evolve in. That was something that was pertinent for me. I'm a part of a Christian sorority as well. So my sorority sisters, having those deep conversations and those very real and vulnerable and honest conversations as well. And then, believe it or not, my husband, he has been, I can't even describe the type of influence that he's had in my life and my maturation process, because he's one that presents stuff to me right in front of my face. Like, there's no way around it, but he does it in such a way that is affirming. He does it in a way that's true and that's honest, that isn't accusatory, that's for my best interest, that wants me to get better. And so just looking at those different trusted individuals and those trusted groups really helped me to better deal with confrontation and not thinking that it's something that I need to deal with on my own or handle on my own.
Right. I was thinking of something while you were talking, and then I went into La La Land with your husband when you said because what an amazing gift, you know, to have someone that adores you that much, that wants to challenge you, but does it in such a graceful way.
Yes.
Like,
they don't
what a
always
gift.
feel that way.
What's that?
It doesn't always feel that way, but I know to be true. I know it to be true.
Right. Right. Yeah. So when this version of you and everybody stuck up for you, and you're living this life that others, I'm assuming, interrupt me if I'm wrong, and you're living this life that you think other people, that it's supposed to look like.
Sure.
And then you find your voice, and that's what I'm going to call it. How do you help people now? Because I know you do, because I watch you on social media and all that good stuff. So how do you help people now somewhere find their voice? Because I bet you do.
Yes, that's a great question, Jamie. What I would like to say to that is being who I am out loud. I live my life out loud. And I think that has single-handedly been the one thing that people can grasp and identify with. I'm not one who only shows the end of a thing. I talk about what I'm going through while I'm going through it. I talk about the struggle that's happening in my mental and in my physical while I'm going through it. But I'm also very optimistic and positive and affirming in who I am and what I'm going through while I'm going through it. And for me, my faith is very important to me. And so keeping my focus and my gaze on God and giving him the glory and the praise throughout the process of what it is that I'm experiencing, I think without me even trying has been what people have held on to. I think for so many, when we go through hard times or we're grieving a loss or, we're disappointed in something that's not going the way that we desire it to go, the automatic feeling is defeat. The automatic feeling is just overwhelmed. We're super tired. We want to give up. I can't believe this is happening. Why is this happening to me? But I choose not to look at life and life circumstances that way. I choose to say, okay, God, here it is. What you gonna do with it? What are you gonna do with it? How can you get the best out of me through this terrible experience? How can I point someone else back to you through this experience? So just very plainly to answer your question, I live my life out loud and I'm not fake about it. Whatever it is, there it is. It's on the table. Who you see on social media is who you get in person. It's who you get at the grocery store. It's who you get on this podcast. And that's been the resounding feedback from people in my life is they say, I just love your authenticity. And I just have to give God the glory for that because I don't feel like it's always been that way. Just even going back to the question earlier about who I was before, I was authentic to who I thought I was, but there was very much I don't even know the right word. There was very much a representative to cover what I felt. There was very much a representative to be who I needed to be for the sake of people or the roles that I served in. But today I'm just all robes off, veils off, faces off, masks off. It's just who I am.
Girl, did you tell me your dog's name is Armor?
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to call it Armor.
Yes.
That's what it was.
Yes.
I'm like, that is what she's talking about. And now our dog's name is Armor.
Yes.
That's the cutest thing. Is that why you named him Armor?
Huh?
I can't wait. Is that why you named him Armor?
No, his name is Armor because he is a defense. He is a shield. He is a protector.
I love that. That's full circle.
Yes.
How has this helped you in your new real estate career?
How has coming into my voice?
Well, yeah. And I before you answer that, live your life out loud is the cutest. I mean, that's a t-shirt coming at you. I mean, I love that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So that translates into real estate very easily, actually, because earlier when I was sharing about who I am, loving people is a part of my life. And it's something that I can never get away from. It's something that I don't want to get away from. Ever since I was younger, I've always been around people who are older than me, who have different life experiences than I. And I was just always intrigued by their story. I was always intrigued by their experiences and what they had to share. Like I was the kid that was in grown folks' conversations because I love discovering newness. And I love diving deeper into that and figuring out why and how that relates to now. And so just thinking about how that translates into real estate, building relationship with people, figuring out why they're wanting to get into a home. What is that home ownership process like? The biggest thing for me with that is making sure they're educated. I'm not one that's just out for the money. The money is a byproduct of relationship. I'm really big on education and advocacy, making sure that that I'm going to advocate for you like people did for me back in the day. I'm that voice now. You understand what I'm saying? And then motivating, just even like we talked about a few minutes ago, how discouraging it can be sometimes going through processes, not even just real estate, any process, because you're coming into something new and you're shedding something old. And sometimes that hurts and it doesn't feel good. And so when we're going through a real estate transaction, it's way much more than a transaction. There's life happening. There's finances, there's family situations. Real estate happens because of a loss, because of a divorce, because of a marriage, because of you're welcoming a new child, because you're moving, because of a job. They happen because of all kinds of reasons. And so it's not just about real estate. It's about life through the lens of real estate. So that's for me how it
you know what can
translates.
happen in real estate
What?
is conflict.
Yes. Very much
And
so.
I learned that. Yeah. And I learned that in my last transaction.
On
I'm
any
like,
front,
wow.
right? At any time.
Yeah. I was like, wow. So you have to, I guess the thing I want you to share with the listeners is all those people that are afraid of conflict.
Yeah.
Why should they not be afraid of conflict?
Yeah.
Conflict can
I
be
don't
so
think you should
good.
be I don't think you should be afraid of conflict because conflict reveals where you are. It reveals who you are.
Yeah.
If you're afraid to deal with conflict, then you're saying, I would rather stay the same. I would rather stay in the same position, being the same person that I am, having the same kinds of relationships, not ready to go anywhere further. That's what I think. And that's not to take a shot at anyone, but quite honestly, transformation happens through conflict.
Yep.
You got to think
Totally
about
agree.
it. I've not
Yep,
had
I
a
just got
birth
the
in my
chills.
body
Yep.
yet, but even when a woman is giving birth to a child, that's conflict. That baby is pushing
right.
up against something so it can come into a new territory and start a new thing. That's conflict. And that conflict welcomes beauty. It welcomes life. Even as I talk about in the chapter on forgiveness, when you decide to forgive someone and you decide to forgive yourself and let other people forgive you and not hold on to grudges, that's new life. That's a greater life. That's a more profound life. That's a greater experience of life. And so being afraid to deal with conflict is cutting your legs off. You're not able to soar. It's cutting your wings off.
Yep.
It's cutting off your potential. It's cutting off your future that you desire. And so I would encourage anyone, not that you have to run head first into conflict, but at least give it a gaze and say, why do I not want to deal with this? Because that means there's something deeper there that maybe you have not dealt with. There's an unresolved issue there, or fear, or a past experience that hasn't been dealt with. And once you decide to deal with that and you get clear on who you are as a person, that's what it took for me, getting clear on who I am as a person and what I want to do with my life. Everything became possible. Nothing, and not that I've conquered everything yet, but nothing feels impossible to me because I understand my place in this earth now.
Yeah. That is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And I love that your chapter was on forgiveness and we talked about conflict with a big circle back.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that. Okay. So lots of nuggets in here for our listeners. Thank you.
Yes.
Give me one nugget on anything you want. It doesn't even need to be about conflict. It can be on anything before I share with them how to get a hold of you. But
Oh my gosh.
give us one nugget on something. I know it can be
Here
a
it
holiday
is.
nugget. I don't know.
Here it is. I always love
Okay.
to say this. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah, I like that.
That's the nugget. Get comfortable.
And live your life out loud.
And live your life out loud.
Love it.
That's it.
I love it.
That's it.
All right, dear. How do people get a hold of you if they want to?
Yes. Well, I'm most active on Facebook. So if you're there, you can find me by my name, Darlyshia Menzie. I'm on Instagram as well, Darlyshia, the Praying Realtor, _ the Praying Realtor. Or you can email me as well. That's connect, CONNECT, at darlyshiamenzie.com. Or you just visit my website. I mean, everything is there on the website. I should have said that. Which is just darlyshiamenzie.com. You can find me there.
All right. And I will have that all in the show notes, or get a hold of me. I'll connect you with Darlyshia. Thank you. It was my pleasure having you on today. And I'm excited for everybody to learn some of these nuggets. I bet we're going to hear about it. So thank you.
I appreciate you.